For many years, Andre Rieu has been more than a musician. He has been a vessel for gentleness in an increasingly hurried world. His waltzes drift like memories of tenderness that refuse to fade, gliding through hearts that had forgotten how to believe in light. His violin has always been a fragile beacon, a whisper of resilience stretched across decades, shimmering in the hush between joy and sorrow. There are nights when thousands remember standing under a canopy of stars, listening to him play in Maastricht, as laughter and tears braided themselves into one quiet miracle. Behind the polished bow, behind that luminous smile known to millions, stands a man who has spent his later years locked in a private struggle not against fame or time, but against the betrayal of his own body. A hidden illness once stole the certainty beneath his feet, turning every performance into a tightrope over invisible storms. What he endures now is not just a return to the stage, but a new, fragile waltz against silence itself. And if his music has ever steadied you when the world grew heavy, leave your tribute a small gesture for the artist who turned fragility into beauty, and pain into a kind of love. Comment 75, or write "Rip Andre Rieu" to honor him. Some souls are born into rooms too cold for warmth to survive. Andre Leon Marie Nicolas Rieu entered this world on October 1, 1949. In Maastricht, a Dutch city that still trembled with the aftershock of war. The cobblestones remembered boots and sorrow. The air carried echoes of loss. His family was respected, secure, yet the walls of their home hummed with something missing. His father, Andre Rieu Sr., a distinguished conductor, could summon thunder from an orchestra but not affection for his own son. His mother, Katharina, kept the household immaculate and measured, where discipline reigned and tenderness rarely dared to breathe. Everything was tuned perfectly, except the human heart. Andre would one day say it simply. Not in bitterness, but in truth. My parents did not love me. That absence became his first teacher. He was one of 6 children, 3 brothers, 2 sisters, all orbiting the gravity of a man whose baton could make strangers weep, but could not lift his children into laughter. Meals were polite, rehearsed, soundless. The rule of perfection left no space for comfort. As a boy, Andre would sit alone, pretending to conduct with a pencil for a baton, hoping for a glance that never came. When he confessed his dream to play music, not of solemnity but of joy, his father answered only with disapproval. In that moment, something inside the boy fractured, a quiet crack that applause would never mend. He learned early that approval might echo louder than love, but never replace it. At 6 years old, his hands found a violin far too large for his body, yet it fit the emptiness within him. The bow trembled, not from fear, but from hunger for warmth, for recognition, for proof that sound could be home. Nights would fall, the house silent but for the ticking of a distant clock, and he would play into the darkness as though summoning kindness from the air itself. The violin was my only friend who listened, he once said. He still remembers the scent of resin, the glimmer of candlelight on the strings, the vibration against his ribs that felt like a heartbeat trying to keep time. It was not practice, it was survival. He learned then that the body could stand straight, even while the heart nearly broke. That lesson would follow him through every dizzy spell, every collapse, every curtain call decades later. Comment 75, or right Rip Andre Rieu to honor him when he entered the Royal Conservatory of Brussels in the late 1960s. Andre hoped to find what had been missing: warmth, belonging, a language beyond precision. Instead, the corridors reeked of varnish and ambition. Emotion was weakness. Technique was law. Teachers measured perfection in metronomes, not in hearts moved. Those were years of invisible bruises, he would recall quietly, wounds that didn't bleed, but changed everything. He dreamed of music that smiled, that breathed, that celebrated life itself. But his peers laughed. His professors called it childishness, his joy unprofessional. Still, the quiet rebellion in him grew. He wasn't trying to alter classical music. He wanted to remind it to feel. By the mid-1970s, Andre's determination had hardened into a melody of defiance. At 29, with no support from his family and no safety net beneath his dream, he gathered a handful of musicians who still believed that music could heal. In a drafty hall in Maastricht, they formed the Maastricht Salon Orchestra. The performances were small, the applause modest. But the laughter was genuine, and for Andre, that was wealth enough. Beside him stood Marjorie, the woman who saw in him what even he sometimes could not: a light worth saving. Their love faced resistance, fierce enough to sever family ties. His mother disowned the marriage, and with that loss came liberation. It hurt like losing a piece of myself, he admitted later. But that pain gave me freedom. No longer a son begging for permission. He became an artist, forging a home out of sound and defiance. Asked decades later if he forgave his parents, he smiled faintly. "I learned to play through the silence," he said. And so he did. In small halls, in marketplaces, in towns where the air trembled with modest applause, Andre built a new kind of stage one, not of grandeur, but of belonging. "I wasn't born in warmth," he once said, "but I chose to create it." Comment 75, or right Rip Andre Rieu, to honor him by 1987. After years of rejection and restless nights, Andre stood before his greatest gamble. At 38, when most begin to seek stability, he chose risk once more. He formed the Johann Strauss Orchestra with just 12 musicians, a dream many dismissed as foolish. Critics sneered. Purists mocked. "He's trying to make classical music smile," they whispered. But Andre was unshakable. He wanted to free music from marble, to let it dance again among ordinary hearts. "They said I was mad," he later said, "but I'd rather go mad with joy than die in perfection." The first years were brutal. Money trickled in too thinly to sustain them. Some nights, his fingers froze mid-performance. Other nights, he skipped meals so his orchestra could eat. His health began to waver. Dizziness, the ringing hum of exhaustion, but the music refused to die. "If I fall," he told himself, "let it be on stage." On January 1, 1988, under trembling lights, 12 musicians played their first major concert. The applause thundered, but backstage, Andre's hands shook as he counted deaths by lamplight. Applause, he realized, could not feed a dream. Still, he whispered to himself in dark hotel rooms. One more concert, one more miracle. Sometimes he'd stare at his reflection, pale in the glass, and wonder how much longer the body could follow the soul. Yet when the bow touched the strings, the music steadied him, and so he endured. Years later, he would remember those times not as hardship but as awakening. "I don't remember the debts," he said. "I remember the faces that smiled. And city by city, those smiles multiplied. The orchestra that began as defiance became a movement. His exhaustion deepened, yes, but so did his joy. Because for Andre Rieu, joy was never the absence of pain. It was what rose from its ashes." Comment 75 or Right Rip Andre Rieu to honor him. The mid-1990s brought the miracle that decades of struggle had promised. In 1995, at a UEFA Champions League match, Andre and his orchestra performed Shostakovich's Waltz No. 2 before tens of thousands. For a brief, electric moment, the stadium fell into sacred silence and then erupted in applause so vast it seemed to shake the stars. That night changed everything. The world finally heard what his heart had been singing all along. Fame followed like a storm. But it was not easy glory. It was airports, ledgers, sleepless nights, and the burden of being not only the artist but the lifeline for 100 souls. Every bowstroke became an act of endurance. "There were nights I bowed and could barely feel my arms," he confessed. "But the audience gave me their strength back." By the early 2000s, he had built a musical empire, independent, meticulous, vast. He controlled every detail: rehearsals, logistics, recordings. His home city of Maastricht became his command center, his castle both sanctuary and workplace. Yet beneath the glitter was a man fighting gravity itself, refusing to let exhaustion win. The king of waltz was not a crown, it was a cross. Comment 75 or Right Rip Andre Rieu to honor him. He built an independent citadel of sound in plain sight, brick by brick, rehearsal by rehearsal, choice by ferocious choice. The glamour audiences saw a blaze of chandeliers, gowns that swirled like morning light, encores that felt like blessings was laid upon scaffolding of ledgers, visas, freight schedules, costume fittings, insurance forms, and the constant arithmetic of risk. Each tour was not merely a sequence of stages but a moving city, an orchestra of human needs that had to be tuned and fed and carried across borders without faltering. He was the leader and also the steward, musician, producer, caretaker, accountant, counselor. There were months when he learned the weight of responsibility by heart, when he looked at a sea of musicians and staff and knew that his faith had to stretch far enough to shelter theirs. Behind the curtain, every bow he raised was a promise. "I will keep the light on for all of us." The crown the world placed on his head, king of the waltz, was never a jeweled ornament. It was a weight he chose to carry because beauty, he discovered, must be defended as fiercely as it is performed. Comment 75 or Right Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. He anchored his empire in the place that had once cradled a lonely boy and now housed a studio where he could shape sound with the intimacy of breath. From recording, to promotion, to logistics, each corridor in his world led back to the same vow: protect the music, protect the people who make it. There were days when he walked the floors of his headquarters and felt the thrum of activity, like a heartbeat, drivers mapping routes, technicians coaxing light from steel trusses, costumers stitching memory into fabric. musicians warming up in rooms that smelled faintly of resin and coffee. It takes both thunder and thread to hold a dream together. He learned to wield them all. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. And the numbers always, the numbers could be both compass and cliff. The scale swelled across the 2000s until it seemed impossible that one man could keep it all from tipping. Yet when 2009 arrived like a sudden winter, the cancellations and his own exhaustion converged, and the losses rained down. What vanished on paper millions, swept away in a matter of months, felt in his chest like a seizure of breath. But even then he counted differently from the world. He didn't tally profit or pride. He measured lives sustained, salaries met, dignity preserved. The arithmetic of love is unlike any balance sheet. It asks not, what did you keep? But, who did you carry through the storm? He tightened his coat against cold wind after shows, looked up at emptying arenas, and reminded himself that the heart is a stubborn instrument, it keeps playing in the dark. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. He invested not in trophies but in shelter. Properties across his city were not trinkets, they were roofs for staff, vaults for instruments, spaces where costumes could breathe and memories could be mended. Trucks became lifelines, rolling guardians for irreplaceable wood and silk and sound. He found cooks who could simmer warmth back into tired bodies. He made room for children because music withers when it cannot pass through small hands and unafraid laughter. If the world insisted on seeing luxury, he would let them. He knew what it really was, architecture for tenderness. My orchestra is my family, he often said in quiet rooms when the audience had gone, and his choices proved that 1,000 times. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. Wealth arrived in headlines that reduced a vast labor to a single figure. Net worth, they called it Taz, if worth could be caught in a number. The articles listed fortunes and properties, but he knew the secret of such lists. They never show the nights of staring at ceilings. The breaths counted until dawn. The warm hand you still hope to hold when the spotlight blinks to black. When he looked at what he had built, he did not see money. He saw survival, and the fragile thread from his childhood, the vow to create warmth where none had been offered. Greatness, he learned, is not the absence of struggle. It is the score you write with what struggle leaves behind. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. Among all tangible wonders in his orbit, the castle and the 2 ancient violins are the closest things to visible pulse. The 15th century stones in Maastricht still hold the echo of a child's first astonished notes at the piano. The realization that sound could mend invisible breaks. When he finally made the castle his own in 1999, it wasn't triumph, it was homecoming. A place where the body could lower its shoulders and the soul could learn to breathe. He restored it not for grandeur, but for medicine. Sunlight through glass became a tonic, gardens a map back to stillness. And within those walls he built a studio that felt more like a refuge than a workplace. On days when the horizon tilted and his steps ran uneven, he would retreat there and let the bow speak for him. Silence could sting or soothe. The castle taught him the difference. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. and the violin's old wood from 1667 and 1732. Carved by hands long, returned to dust carry time, the way a chest carries air. They are not possessions. They are extensions of breath, of memory, of everything he has tried to give the world. He has said that when he holds them, he feels time itself inhaling. During the darkest months of the pandemic, when stages were suddenly erased and the economy of applause collapsed, he stood before one of those instruments and considered the unthinkable. He thought of selling it so that the people who depended on him would not have to face a winter without warmth. That he did not sell does not diminish what it cost him even to consider it. There are choices the world never sees that leave a mark deeper than any headline. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. Then came 2020. And the world learned what musicians already know. Silence is not empty. It is crowded with what might have been. His calendar, once a river of cities and rehearsals and carefully measured miracles, drained to a plain of white. The applause that had been his pulse for half a century dissolved into a stillness so complete it felt surgical. He did what he has always done, he thought first of the people under his care. Month after month, he reached into reserves he had saved not for vanity but for a day like this, when everything would depend on his decision to bear the cost alone. He sold this and that, slivers of a past he loved, to cushion the lives that moved around him like constellations. If the price of their safety was the thinning of his accounts, he paid it without ceremony. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. In the quiet rooms of his castle, even footsteps sounded too loud. Cases remained latched, the studio dim, hallways haunted by the afterscent of rehearsals that had once run late into the night. He walked and listened to the absence. In that space, he found a different kind of composing notes that moved more slowly, lines that knelt more often. Performance slipped into prayer. The bow did not blaze, it whispered. When he finally stood before an audience again after that long hush, the applause lifted like a sunrise shared by strangers. People cried without hiding their faces. He played with a gentleness forged by interruption, aware in his bones that art, like breath, is a gift on loan. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. But the body always, the body has its own weather. Years before the world shut down, a virus in 2010 slipped like a thief into the inner ear that governs balance, turning the ground into water. The man who could command 100 players with a glance found himself gripping door frames, willing the room to stay still. It wasn't a fall from grace. It was a fall from certainty. Concerts dissolved. Letters arrived by the stack, prayers pressed like flowers between pages. He paced dark corridors at hours when night behaves like an illness, repeating the vow that has carried him through every trial: I will come back. The metronome of his steps marked the misery and the promise at once. Recovery was not spectacle, but stubbornness, measured by breaths and by the distance between one steady minute and the next. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. And when balance returned, fate took a different shape. In 2016, his friend and trombonist Ruud Merckx collapsed while on tour. A bright, ordinary day that refused to remain ordinary. One rehearsal, laughter. The next, absence. He took the stage anyway, because grief often asks us to continue what love began. From then on, he left a sliver of silence inside certain performances, never announced, never explained. In that breath between notes, his friend lived. Grief became a quiet instrument he learned to play without audience instruction. Comment or write rip rude mercs to honor them. By 2024, the years had accumulated like snow on a roof, their weight subtle until a storm arrives. Mexico lights, a stadium breathing as one, then the world tilting again. A flare of brightness, a ringing that swallowed the lines of the stage. The floor rose too quickly. Voices blurred. He remembers paramedics' lamps, cutting through gold haze, the carriage of a stretcher, the thin rhythm of machines replacing the human wave that had been his oxygen. In a room that smelled of antiseptic and worry, he lay still, and every message on his phone blinked unanswered. The night can press so close it feels like it has hands. Morning did come. He chose to stand and begin the long walk back, training hands to steady, legs to trust, breath to lead. After that, every concert was a treaty with time. Every bow stroke, a small defiance. Comment 75 or write rip Andre Rieu to honor them. The orchestra watched him with the reverence of kin. They had seen what no audience sees, the trembling in the dressing room after the curtain closes. The long exhale that is not relief so much as gratitude for the body's willingness to continue. He began to measure success differently, not in attendance or charts, but in minutes of true presence, in the way a single waltz can loosen a clenched life. He widened the spaces inside the music. He let tenderness lead. His playing grew more human, not surrender, but wisdom. Comment 75 or write rip Andre Rieu to honor them. And through all of it, the people who appeared early in his story remained where they have always been, in the bloodstream of the narrative that made him his father. Andre Rieu Sr., the architect of thunder, who left rooms tidy but hearts unheld, still stands, like a distant figure on a balcony in memory. The baton that could bend orchestras never learned the shape of an embrace. In the boy's longing, a vow formed, to build a life where music would not merely instruct but welcome, where no child would have to squint to see approval. The man he became is the answer to the boy he was. Comment or write rip Andre Rieu Sr. to honor them, and Katharina, mother and keeper of order, whose silence became a second kind of metronome. From her, he learned that immaculate rooms can feel airless, and that love is not a schedule but a shelter. The correction she prized became, in him, a dedication to craft. The warmth she could not provide became, in him, a mission to offer it to others. Even absence can be a teacher if the lesson becomes mercy. Comment or write rip Katharina to honor them. Marjorie entered as a counter-melody and remained the key. She believed when he didn't have the energy to keep believing, argued for rest when ambition sped up the tempo, handled letters and contracts and the 1,000 decisions that keep a great ship from listing. She was never a shadow. She was the architecture. In seasons when his body misfired, she steadied the hands that steadied the bow. Her strength wore no spotlight, because love almost never does. It shows its face in solved problems and kept promises and flights taken or cancelled at the exact right time. Comment or write rip Marjorie to honor them. From backstage footsteps to lighting cues to the length of an intermission. Pierre learned the language of guardianship. He grew up hearing the hum of tuning as if it were household electricity. Now he orchestrates the world around his father so the music can stay central and the man can remain whole. He has watched the cost of magnificence and chosen to assist rather than admire. When the curtain falls and the roar recedes, that is when he begins unseen hands folding the evening back into morning. Comment or write Rip Pierre to honor them. And Daisy, small hands at the piano, laughter that fills halls once starved of it. She is not a task or a plan. She is proof. The family's gentle creed, that music is not forced but invited, lives in the way she approaches keys without fear. Watching her, he understands that inheritance is not the passing of objects but of courage. Beauty survives not by being stored but by being played again in another life. Comment or write Rip Daisy to honor them. All these threads parents, stern and withholding. A partner, patient and fierce. A son who builds scaffolds of care. A granddaughter who reminds sound to be playful. A friend whose absence taught silence its place braid themselves. Into the man who still steps onto stages with a bow like a compass. He plays fewer notes now, and each one carries more weight. He doesn't race the clock. He converses with it. He understands in his cells that mastery is not speed but presence, not volume but intention. When he smiles at the opening of a waltz, he is thanking the past for letting him arrive and the future for letting him continue. Comment 75 or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. His life, by its current rhythm, has slowed into something almost sacred. Each morning begins before the sun fully stretches its fingers across Maastricht. When mist lingers in the garden and the first light catches on the dew that sleeps upon his roses. He walks there in quiet conversation with the air, a cane in one hand, a thought in the other. The castle nearby glows like an echo of all he has endured and built. And his newer home's smaller, gentler feels like the body's exhale after years of holding too much. Within its walls, clocks do not count hours, but breaths. Each one is a reminder that music still hums beneath the skin even when silence pretends to rule. Comment 75 or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. The house smells of herbal tea and polished wood, not champagne or rehearsals. His mornings unfold with deliberate patience. There are stretches and soft exercises guided by his trainer, moments of meditation before the violin even enters the room. His meals are precise, a doctor's plan turned into small rituals of gratitude. No banquet, no decadence, just nourishment calibrated for a heart that has carried too many encores. He has learned to treat health not as a luxury, but as a sacred rhythm to be tended like a fragile instrument. Comment 75 or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them in the afternoons. He drifts to his studio, a space half light and half memory. Sometimes he plays. Sometimes he simply touches the violin, fingers grazing its neck, as if greeting an old friend who understands everything without needing a word. The sound that rises from those strings is no longer urgent, it is patient, reverent. Notes bloom slowly and fade like sighs. There are days when he stops mid-phrase and smiles at the silence, as though the pause itself is part of the song. In these moments, he is no longer performing for anyone. He is conversing with the years, with the ghosts of applause, with the boy who once played in a dark house for no one but himself. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu, to honor them. Evenings belong to love. Marjorie sits beside him in the soft glow of lamplight. Sometimes reading, sometimes sewing, sometimes just watching him breathe without strain. Pierre joins them, discussing logistics, tours, schedules, but gently now, like an heirloom being handled with care. Daisy's laughter floats down the hallway, her small hands sometimes trailing across piano keys in spontaneous bursts of joy. The house fills with a quiet that is not loneliness but completion. The applause of 1,000 strangers could never sound as full as this small chorus of family breathing the same air. Comment or write Rip Marjorie, Pierre, or Daisy to honor them. He has never spoken publicly about inheritance or legacy, but his family already knows the truth. His truest bequest is not the castle, nor the collection of instruments, nor the empire he built from a dream that refused to die. It is the example of persistence, the courage to create warmth where none was given, the humility to keep faith when the body fails, the stubborn beauty of continuing to dance while time tries to pull the music away. Wealth can be counted, but courage cannot. That is what he will leave behind, not possessions, but permission for others to begin again when everything feels too heavy. Comment 75 or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. He still plays concerts, though fewer now. Each one feels like a prayer whispered into a cathedral of shared gratitude. The July 2025 performances linger in memory like the final blaze of summer, the music swelling, the crowd shining back its devotion. Thousands stood beneath the open sky as the last note dissolved into starlight, many of them in tears. Backstage, he turned to Marjorie, voice trembling, not with weakness but with awe. "I am still here," he whispered. The words carried the weight of every illness, every sleepless night, every impossible tour he had ever survived. That whisper has become his refrain. Comment 75 or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them, now. In November 2025, the man and his music move in perfect humility. The performances are smaller, but the silence between them is richer. He knows what only time can teach, that the measure of a life is not applause but breath. Every bow he lifts is a rebellion against inevitability, a declaration that art can still rise even when the body trembles. His doctors speak of limitations, but he hears only tempo changes. His body is slower, yes, but the soul still dances in 3/4 time. Comment 75 or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. He understands that the curtain will fall one day, but he no longer fears it. The music has already outlived the boundaries of performance. It resides in the faces that once lit up beneath the lights, in the hands that still hold tickets as keepsakes, in the hearts that remember where they were the first time his bow drew them into stillness. To create something that outlasts your voice, that is the highest form of breathing. And when the day comes for silence to return, he will not leave a void. He will leave resonance. Comment 75 or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. The audience he built is more than an audience now. They are a fellowship of witnesses, bound not by genre but by emotion. The widowed, the weary, the unseenal found a rhythm in his waltzes that made their burdens momentarily lighter. Somewhere, in every city he ever played, There is someone whose grief was eased because of a single night when the violin sang of survival. That is his quiet victory. He did not build monuments. He built moments, and they have become immortal. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them. In the last light of evening, he sometimes steps onto his balcony, overlooking the gardens. The air hums faintly with the echo of distant traffic. The soft laughter of his granddaughter, the pulse of his own heart steady and sure. He closes his eyes and hears it all as one grand composition. The past, the pain, the triumph, the stillness. There is still music left in me, he says softly. And the world, listening somewhere far away, knows it is true. Comment 75, or write Rip Andre Rieu to honor them.